Janis Ian wrote that song in 1975. A couple of little tidbits about the song. Sharon was Mark and Donna, that it was actually performed on the very first episode of Saturday Night Live. And it was quite an interesting song in pop music history because when it was written, it was 4 minutes and 33 seconds long, and it was too long for radio. But the producers really thought that this song had such a powerful message, and women's energy and power in the 70s was really strong, and women were starting to, find their own voice and do their own thing in more of an out front way. And this song was really something that spoke to a lot of women that they looked at themselves and they thought, I'm less than and everything. And so this song was really a powerful song. So the producers of the song decided that they weren't going to market it to the record company producers. They were going to market it to their wives. They were going to send copies to all of the record producers' wives and say, please listen to this song. And despite the length of the song, it ended up winning a Grammy in 1975 for the best female pop vocal. And it sort of broke the rules as it did so. And I think that women at the time were breaking a lot of rules of the society of being women who stayed at home and took care of the family. They were beginning to really, in a strong and abundant way, start to enter the workforce and take real jobs that were new to women at that time. And all this talk was really brought about by who are we really? Who am I really? And I reflected on this song because here's this young girl who was struggling with who she was. She was in pain because love wasn't meant for her. Love was meant for that beauty queen. Love was meant for somebody else that was more worthy of the love, who had the pretty skin. That's who deserved love, right? I love some of the lyrics in this song. So remember those who win the game. They won the game, they got the handsome guy, right? But lose the love that they sought to gain. In debentures of quality of dubious integrity, their small town eyes will gape at you in dull surprise when payment due. I just think these lyrics are just some of the most craftiest lyrics ever written. But our self-image and how we present ourselves and portray ourselves really does affect how we live. So I was given a compliment this morning, and I didn't say anything about it at the time, but I have to confess that they said, oh, Chris, there's something different. Did you lose weight or what happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened was that for about the last 6 or 8 weeks, my daughter has been after me to color my hair. She says, oh, Dad, you would look so young. You got to get rid of that gray. Oh, my God, you would look so young. I'm like, Allie, I don't need to color my hair. Oh, but Dad, you look great. Come on, I'm like, I don't look great now. Oh, but Dad, but you look really young. So she was on me literally for weeks and weeks and weeks. And finally, last Sunday, she decided, I want to color my hair. And I want to get a box of color for Dad, too, right? So being just sort of fun with it, I said, okay, I'll color we'll have fun because whether I like it or not, or whether I hate it, it'll grow out. I don't have to live with it forever. It's not something that's permanent. But it really gave me an opportunity to reflect on why people color their hair, why people spend so much time and energy on this. Right? I know, okay, right? Well, let me tell you how much time and how much energy we spend on this. According to some estimates I read, Americans spend $10 billion a year on Botox and facelifts, and body improvement, tummy tucks, whatever, cosmetic surgery. That's the word I was looking for. Cosmetic surgery. We spend $10 billion a year to improve this. And if we want to extend that on out to how much do we spend on makeup and how much we spend on shampoo and how much we spend on these other things, we're looking at a price tag of $160 billion a year. Just Americans spend this much time and energy on this. Wow, that's a lot of lipstick. But who are we really, though? Does this really make me any better or worse? It's an expression. If I thought for a minute that this would make me better, then I think, in a strange paradox, it actually makes me worse. Because I'm giving power to something outside of myself. It's just a color. I remember 10 years ago, I spiked my hair. I thought that was fun. I didn't even give it a second thought. I thought, it'd be cool to have a couple little blonde spikes in there, And it was fun. I didn't even think twice about it. But this, for some reason, because it was done under the impression that I needed to hide something. That my daughter saw me and she says, "Oh, Dad, you're getting a lot of silver up here. You're getting a lot of gray up here. You need to hide something. Oh, my God, we can't let you look old." Why not? Why not? Why can't I accept that I have more gray hair than I did 10, 12, 20 years ago? Why can't I do that? I mean, I can. I don't really have a problem with it. But my daughter obviously really had a problem with it. She said, you would look so young. And she thought for some reason it would make me better. It doesn't make me better. It just makes my hair color a little bit different. That's all. But it did give me the fodder for this talk of who am I? And why would this affect my outlook on myself? Why is it important to feel and look young? For some people it really, I don't want to look old. I look all gray. I've got this chin starting to happen, and oh my God, my hairline's starting to recede, and I got my gray hair, and oh my God. And I was talking to some ladies at work, and they were saying, "Oh my God, coloring my hair, I hate it because, I have to keep up with it. Otherwise I get that skunk thing going on." You know what I'm talking about? And I said, "Well, I really didn't know what you're talking about because I've really never had to deal with it before, but that's interesting." Yeah, she goes, So there was this one lady that I work with, and I actually talked to her about this and asked her if I could share this. She had black hair. And all of a sudden I came in one day, and she had a head full of silver hair. And I thought she had colored her hair and something had went wrong or something. And she says, "No, I got tired of putting chemicals in my head, and I decided that, I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't. And I tried to decide to be more authentic by letting the fact that I'm a 55-year-old grandmother come forward and be..." And she goes, "By the way, I don't like your hair." "It's not you, Chris." And I said, strange thing, I don't really like it either. But I know it'll grow out, so I'm okay with it. It's not like I'm stuck with it forever. That's okay. Who am I? Who are you? Who are we? And why do we give so much energy and attention to this? Are we ignoring who I was? And I'm going to share with you somewhat of an unusual story that's happened to a friend of mine, that I reconnected with on Facebook, this lady who I went to high school with. And she had a very interesting experience. Now, I'm not asking you to believe this or anything, but it's just fodder for thought, something to really contemplate as to maybe who some people think we possibly are, who they possibly are. You might relate this, you may not, but I'm going to share it anyway. This lady who I went to high school with, 23 years ago, gave birth to her son. But in the birth process, they realized that her baby had been turned around, and the baby was actually in her pelvic area. And this happens about 1 every 10,000 pregnancies. And it's very, very critical because normally one or the other will pass away in this process. Very rare that both actually survive it. But they told her that in this process, don't push. Well, she was in this place in her contractions where she couldn't help but push. And when she did it sort of did some real serious internal injury into her, and she started bleeding internally, and she started bleeding all over the place, and she lost the majority of her blood. And they had to rush her into emergency surgery to do an emergency C-section. Then they had to do emergency surgery to try to repair some of the damage that was going on in her. While all this was going on, she says, Chris, I was totally conscious, and I was actually watching it from above my body. I saw everything that was going on. I was this little light that was floating around the room. And she goes, and a funny thing is that I looked around and there was another little light floating around the room. And she says to this light, oh, I know you. We agreed that in this life I would be your mother. And we agreed that it probably wasn't going to be an easy road for us. But do we still want to do this? Yeah, we still want to do this. And it turns out that it was a very treacherous road for her and her son. Her son has had a lot of challenges in his life. I don't really understand reincarnation and the possibility of that, or the way that our soul evolves, and I really can't qualify or not qualify anything. I will tell you this on a personal story. When my daughter, Allie, was 2 years old, the same one that wanted me to color my hair, used to tell me about when she used to mow the lawn when she was a little boy. And we really just sort of scratched our head at that and thought, that's very interesting. We never really talked about past lives before with our 2-year-old, but all of a sudden she's telling us about this little boy. There was also a doctor who I saw on a television station one time that was talking about, he didn't really believe in the reincarnation when you go off to this hypnotist and you do this past life regression stuff. He was a very critic of that. But what he did believe in was he interviewed children, and he had 2,500 cases of children who had infinite detail of a life that they had lived before. One most notable was a little boy who came back who was his grandfather. And again, the idea of this whole concept is, who are we? Who are we really? But it's not limited to the spirit realm. It's not limited, you can say to me, oh, Chris, yeah, he's a musician. Oh, Chris, yeah, he's our guest speaker. Oh, Chris, he's that, he's this. But we can also look at somebody and we can say, oh, that guy, he's a bum. Oh, that guy, he's just an old man. Oh, that team over there, they're no good. I want to share 3 more brief little stories with you. The one about the guy who was no good, he was a bum, who was a criminal. He was a criminal. His name was Wade. And Wade was someone who grew up in New York. And he lived a really fast and hard life. He was in with the wrong crowd. He was robbing people, and he was doing drugs, and he was constantly in and out of juvenile detention. And when he was about 21 years old, he ended up getting involved in an armed robbery, and he ended up getting arrested. And he was sentenced to 18 years in prison. During that time in prison, somewhere halfway between his sentence of his actual sentence served, which was, he served a total of 9 years, but somewhere about halfway in between that time, 4.5, 5 years in, he discovered a new part of himself, that he had went to this church service, and although the theology of Wade and mine are probably worlds apart, I can appreciate the fact that he had a transformation. He had a spiritual experience that told him that he was going to be a doctor. He, a hardened criminal, a person who did drugs, a person who was guilty of burglary and convicted, was going to be a doctor. He probably did what you and I are thinking. Really? How's that even possible? He ended up getting out after 9 years on good behavior. And he went to this program that specialized in hiring people who were hard to employ. And he filled out his application, and believe it or not, nowhere on this application, I've never even heard of this, have you ever been convicted of a felony? That question did not exist on this application. So he submitted it. He ended up getting his GED. He ended up getting his undergrad degree. And he was working in a medical clinic. And he started developing the skill and the knowledge and the interest, and he started developing it. He ended up becoming a physician's assistant. And he became a fantastic physician's assistant. So much so that opportunities started coming to him. Hey, we'd like to have you head up our medical clinic. Could you come work for us? Can you come be with us? As it turns out, he ended up moving his family to Arizona. And just this past year, he was giving grant money to go back to school to become a doctor. So who is he? Is he Dr. Wade? Or is he Convict X4932X1 on cell block C? I know Wade personally. He is my granddaughter's other grandfather. I don't know this next guy personally, but I was really inspired by him. His name was Fauja Singh. And Fauja Singh decided that he was going to take up marathon running at the age of 89. When most people are bent over and humped over and complaining about every ache and pain, this guy is lacing up his tennis shoes and starting to run 26 miles. And it was funny because he had a misunderstanding when he first started running marathons, that somebody told him it was 26 and he heard kilometers. And he didn't realize until he was halfway through his first marathon that it was actually twice as long as he thought it was. And at the age of 102, he became the oldest man to ever complete a marathon. 102. Is Fauja Singh an old man? Or is he a marathon runner? Who is he really? I couldn't help but think, because this is a big day in K-State world, right? Big 12 champions of basketball, right? Woo! It reminds me of a time I grew up in North Carolina, and basketball in North Carolina, college basketball in North Carolina, isn't an event, it's a religion. You either go to the Church of Duke, or you go to the Church of UNC, or North Carolina State, or Wake Forest. Those four were the biggies. I remember when I was in high school, Ralph Sampson was a player for the University of Virginia. And the University of Virginia had traveled to China to do some kind of exhibition game. And they decided that they were just going to stop back over in Hawaii and have a little game with this little college called Chaminade. Except Chaminade didn't see themselves as a little college. They saw themselves that they could match up one man by one man by one man by one man by one man to the best team in the country, the number one team in the country. Funny thing is that Chaminade was going to change their name of their college. I don't know what they were going to change it to. But that night became a fateful night because it was the only time that a number one team in the country, and I still think it's the only time, was ever defeated by a Division II school. They took University of Virginia and they defeated them. And Chaminade still, because of the enormous amount of publicity that this event gave, decided to keep the name Chaminade. Who were they really? Were they a division school team on Hawaii? Or were they worthy of being the best, beating the best? Who were they? And who are we? The Bible tells us in Genesis 1:27 that male and female, He created thee and them. In the likeness and image of God, we know that we can hold to that and know that we were a divine creation. I look at the unity perspective of this, and this whole church, this whole idea around us even being here this Sunday was because one woman decided not to see herself as sick and incapable, but she decided to see herself as whole and well. And she developed a whole prayer practice, a prayer practice that I happen to be employed in still today, 123 years after she began her ministry. It is still thriving today. Silent Unity takes over 1.5 million calls a day, all because of one woman's faith, because she decided that she wasn't going to be sick. Who was she? Was she a school teacher? Was she someone who suffered from tuberculosis? Or was she a powerful force in this world? So we all have different levels of who we are. I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a whatever. And we all can look in the mirror and we can see, oh my God, I got to lose a couple of pounds. Oh, I got to color my hair or whatever. But really, I think that, I remember the quote from Marianne Williamson in the Return to Love. I pulled it up here on my phone. This is such a beautiful quote, and if you've never read the book of Return to Love, it is a must read. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, or fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just some of us, it's in everyone. It's in everyone. We let our own light shine. We unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. It could be that you're in a relationship. I have a friend of mine who's in a relationship who is so upset because she's trying to be something for her partner that's not making him happy. And so she's all caught up in how can she change to make him happy? Well, she can't. His happiness is his responsibility. But I thought about this and, well, how is she failing to be great? Well, she's failing to be great because she's giving her power and she's ignoring her own responsibility to herself. You can't make someone else happy. Happiness is their choice. So how do we go about finding out who we are and what we want to be? We are this divine expression that has a physical manifestation, and certainly this has an effect on our psyche. Let's not, unless we're totally enlightened beings, we are affected by this physical world. And yes, There's some people who have had great experiences and feeling young and vibrant and by coloring their hair. That's totally fine, and I'm not knocking that at all. If that is the way they want to be, that's totally fine with me. And if that serves you, that's fine with me. That's not to say that it's wrong, but to be remembering who we really are. It's not this. It's like the movie projector. We have a movie and we are the movie screen. This life that we are living is the movie screen. So if we want to see a different movie, we have to change the movie in the movie projector. This essence of who we are, this true source of who we truly are, we have to change that movie. We have to put in a new program if we want to see something different. I have never been able to turn on the TV and want to watch Seinfeld when Friends is on. I can't do it. It's impossible. If Friends is on the TV, I can't sit there and see Seinfeld. I have to change the channel. I have to change what I'm seeing. I have to put something in motion to create the experience that I desire. How do we do that? John, I love the fact that you identified with that daily word. I have a very strong passion for the daily word, and this is one that I just found so true, and I've kept it. I keep it on my desk at work. It is from October 9th, 2012. I want to read it to you. This is how we change that movie. The word of the day was strong. I am filled with the life, strength, and energy of God. My body responds to my thoughts and feelings. My body responds to my thoughts and feelings. If I am down, my body feels it. If I'm tense or hurried, my body becomes tense and tired. Conversely, it responds just as readily to positive thinking. I like what Zig Ziglar used to say, whatever you put into your mind, you're going to get out. If you're going to tell yourself you're sick, you're tired, you're going to be just that. If you're going to say, man, I feel great. The challenge is when maybe you don't physically feel great, but you can turn it around and you can change those words. You can change that movie. When I affirm with conviction, I am filled with the life, strength, and energy of God, even if I do not feel it in that moment, it will stir up feelings of divine life and strength within me. My body, mind, and spirit respond to positive, life-affirming prayers. I feel an upsurge of energy through my entire being. I am filled with the strength of God. As a spiritual being, I draw upon divine strength to do all I need to do, to be all I need to be, to achieve my heart's desires. What an inspiring truth. And so I'm going to invite all of you to affirm with me, I am filled with the life, strength, and energy of God. Together, I am filled with the life, strength, and energy of God. And so it is. And we're going to hold that thought in our minds as we begin to prepare for meditation.